Hello everyone, Mrs. Kintai here, and as you can see, I'm in the back room. I wanted to take a minute to talk about class last night. Class last night was a great example of Skillz in action, and I wanted to just kind of talk through it while it was fresh in my brain. And I didn't take a ton of video because I was really focused on class, but I will insert some pictures and video that hopefully go along with what I'm talking about. So for starters, when we came in last night, I already knew actually that I was going to be working on memory. Skillz follows a particular format where every single rotation, we work through all of the major martial arts elements, in addition to working on where they are developmentally. And so last night was memory. And so I quickly picked some drills that I wanted to work on our memory, but also to work on our proprioceptive and vestibular systems, because I had promised ninja parents that we were going to work on that. So I'd chosen some drills that's what we were going to do. When everyone was coming in, I was saying hi to them using their name. That's very intentional. That lets every student know that I see them and that I am glad that they are here. It also releases serotonin in their brains. Serotonin is that feel-good chemical that gives us a sense of belonging, like we are seen and heard, and these are our people. It was also back to uniform night last night. Our uniforms we wear are to put a sense of belonging also. Uniforms are important, and the reason uniforms are important is because it creates a sense of in-group, right? You are part of this group, you're wearing this uniform. And so we wear our uniforms to help everyone feel like they're part of this group. From the time of bow in until we bow out, we follow a particular format. Now, the reason we follow this format is so that there is familiarity in class. The kids know what to expect. They're excited, they feel comfortable and safe because they know what to expect in class and that we do the things in the same order each time. So we start with our warm-ups, and warm-ups are a very important part. Not only does it warm our joints up to help prevent injury, but it also starts to engage the body and brain together. We used neurobics, which is essentially making your brain work while your body's working at the same time. So we counted by twos, we counted by threes, we counted in Spanish, we counted in Japanese last night, and then we held positions while we named our favorite restaurant and what we like to eat at those restaurants. All of those things were warming up their brains as well as their bodies. So then when we get to mat chat, the next section, we are ready to think. The first thing we do for our mat chat is we have prayer time. Now, that prayer time is specific to us because of where we are and what we believe, but this is our connection time. Think of this as our connection time. Yes, the ninjas tell me all sorts of stories. They tell me about their video games, their days at school, field trips, gifts that they've gotten, also wiggly teeth, all sorts of things. But you know what? That's them connecting with me. And when kids connect with adults, they listen better. And so we take that time to connect to them, to hear their stories, to relate to them, and to let them know that we care about the things in their life. By building these connections, we get better listeners. Now it's mat chat time. Last night we talked about patience, and when we have our word of the month, this is your opportunity, parents, to take the lessons from class home. We talk about patience, and I'm sure you talk about patience at home too, so you can remind them that Mrs. Kintai has been talking about patience. You also have those monthly at-home challenges, again, to help bridge the learning from class to home. Then we talked about memory, and we talk about 3 kinds of memory that we can exercise in class: our long-term memory, our short-term or working memory, and our reactive or speed of processing memory. And you know what? The ninjas know that. They know those terms, and they know what kind of memory that is. We talk about it every single time we come back to memory. So then, after we talked about that and all of that learning happened, we take a break. So why do we take a break right there? We take a break right there because we know that after learning has occurred, If we have movement, our brains are able to process it and file it appropriately. It helps to enhance learning. So giving them a break, letting them move their bodies freely and go get a drink at this time helps their brains to organize what we just talked about in our mat chat. Next up was basic actions, and we worked on our short-term memory or our working memory, that part of our brain that allows us to remember things for a short period of time in order to be able to use them. We worked on combinations of 2, 3, and 4 last night, moving to the right and left sides of their body to exercise their brain while we were working on their speed of processing. Next up, I had them sit on the chairs before we started drills. And it just so happened one student sat locked up, hands on the knees, perfect right away. And so I pointed out that student and said, whoa, that student is doing awesome. Look at them, they're sitting just like a black belt. You know what? Very shortly, and for the rest of the night, the rest of the kids in class raced to be the first one so that I might say their name out loud and say that they were sitting like a black belt too. That's utilizing modeling. I pointed out a student who was modeling the behavior that I wanted to see. I recognized them, I said their names, and all of their brains went, whoa, I want Mrs. Kintai to say my name too. And so they modeled the correct behavior in order to have me say their names. And they did. They made it super hard on me last night. Next up was drills. So I picked 2 memory drills last night that worked on their vestibular and proprioceptive systems. Why? Because we now know that this age range, for whatever reason, is 70% behind than their peers a decade ago. And so we're going to try to help our kids in our classes be ahead of the curve. So I picked drills that worked those systems. So I picked dizzy kicks and dizzy patterns. Now, we were working on memory, but the other things besides their proprioceptive and vestibular systems, the other thing we were working on was their response inhibition. See, I got them dizzy and they had to think through counting 10 kicks, and they had to think through doing their pattern while they were dizzy. But response inhibition, 5 and 6-year-olds, you get them dizzy, they want to be like, whoa, look how dizzy I am. They want to be all silly and goofy because that's their stage of development. But we taught their brain to ignore that response and to do their pattern because they wanted to be the one who remembered their pattern the best. So by introducing the dizzy part, we also worked on the response inhibition, this idea of getting our brain to ignore things that distract us and help us to focus on the thing right in front of us. We then took another break. Why? Same reason we took our break earlier, is so that they could have some free movement of their bodies, go get a drink, and allow their brains the time to file and process what we had just worked on. Then it was time for game. And we happened to play Gaga Ball, one of their favorite games last night. Why do we always try to finish class with a game? Well, it releases the feel-good chemical dopamine, the anticipation, the fun. And a game like Gaga Ball, we also get some endorphins involved too, as they really, really run around and get all hot and sweaty. And you know what? That means they all leave class with smiles. That's our goal, is to have everyone leave class with a smile. Of course, throughout class, we are offering high fives and fist bumps the whole way through. Why? Because that releases the feel-good chemical oxytocin. And that, again, gives them a connection to us and a connection to class. See, everything we do in Skillz is very intentional. We don't just come in and wing it. We don't just do kicks and punches. We are working with child development and brain development in mind throughout the entire class. And I just felt like last night's class was an awesome example. Lastly, we did have a student last night who didn't leave with a smile. They were really upset because they got out in Gaga Ball. They got out in the game. But see, that's where Skillz come in again. I went over to the student after class and I started talking to them. I started asking them questions about something that they had brought up during our connection time. See, when a child gets really upset to that point where they are frustrated, angry, and unresponsive, or maybe this person wasn't crying and throwing a fit, but they were definitely going inward. They were balling up, not wanting to talk to me, not look at anybody. So the first thing I did was I started talking to them, asking them questions. That means they were in their downstairs brain. Their amygdala had taken over. Flight, fright, or freeze. I needed them to get to their upstairs brain to talk about things. So I started asking him about a subject that came up during our connection time. Slowly, he didn't answer me right away, but he started to come out of it a little bit. Then, after he started to come out of it, I named his feeling. I said, I know you're really frustrated about getting out in Gaga Ball. I said, but you know what? That tells me that you care, that you really want to follow the rules, and that you really want to win. And that's awesome, because that drive that you really want to win is going to make you an even better Gaga Ball player. He didn't leave smiling, but he did leave not crying, and Dad was able to walk him out. And guess what they were talking about? They were talking about the thing that we had connection about earlier in the evening. So yeah, there you have it. That's what an evening of a skills class looks like, and that's what sets us apart from other martial arts schools. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope this explains a little bit. There is a method to the madness of what we do in class. And I hope that if you ever have any questions about it, why I'm doing something the way I'm doing it, please ask. I love to talk about this stuff, and I'd love to tell you. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.